A word from the Rebbe on this week's Parshas Vayikra. In Parshas Vayikra, we learn about korbanos, the sacrifices in the Beis Hamikdash. One of them is korban chatos. If you do an aveira, sin, b'shegig, unintentionally, you have to bring a korban chatos. But that's only by an aveira that had you done it intentionally, b'mezid, you would get the punishment of koros. That means a person dies at a young age, etc., etc. Then, if you do it b'shegig, you have to bring a korban chatos. Then the Torah talks about another korban, which is a korban osham tolui. Osham tolui is brought when you maybe did an aveira b'shegig, that the punishment b'mezid would have been koros. An example is given. For instance, there are two pieces of fats on the table. Kosher fats is called shuman, and non-kosher fats is called chaylev. The punishment for eating chaylev, if you did it b'mezid, is koros. So if you eat it b'shegig, then you have to bring a korban chatos. But what happens? You're not sure you ate it. You ate chaylev. For instance, there were two pieces laying on the table. You thought they were both shuman, kosher fats, and you ate one, and then you found out that one of the two was chaylev, the non-kosher one, but you're not even sure that that's the one you ate. So here it's a sofik, a doubt. Maybe you did an aveira that is b'mezid koros, but you did it b'shegig. So maybe you did an aveira b'shegig. And for that, you have to bring a korban called osham toli. And the example that I just gave is the example that the Chazal gave. Rashi and Chumash brings the example of the two pieces. One is chaylev, one is shuman. You thought they were both shuman, both kosher fats. Later you found, and you ate one. Later you found out that one of them was chaylev, was the non-kosher fats. But you're not even sure that you ate the treifa one. Maybe you ate the kosher one. So it's a sofik aveira that you did b'shegig. Maybe you did an aveira b'shegig. You bring a korban osham toli. The question is, why is the example given from fats? There are two types of fats, kosher fats and non-kosher fats. Now, the reason we picked that example is because chaylev is an isur koros. Chaylev is something that you get koros if you eat it b'mezid. That's why it's a good example. But it's not the only example of eating food that's koros. For instance, if you eat chametz on Pesach, you also chayiv koros if you eat b'mezid. So you could have given the same example. There were two pieces laying around. You thought they were both not chametz. You ate one of them. You didn't mean to eat chametz chas v'sholem, but you ate one of them. Then you found out that one of them was chametz, but you're not even sure you ate that one. You'd also have to bring a osham toli. So why is the example picked of chaylev and shuman, of kosher fats and non-kosher fats? And the Rebbe explains as it follows. It says in many svarim that from a certain angle, doing an aveira b'shegig, doing aveira by mistake, unintentionally, has a certain chumrah, something even worse than doing an aveira b'mezid. When you do an aveira b'mezid intentionally, it's a terrible thing. But it's a one-time thing. That means your yetzer hara got the best of you. You had a taiva to eat something treif or whatever other thing that you did, and you stumbled. The yetzer hara got the best of you. It's a terrible thing. But when you do an aveira b'shegig, that shows to a certain degree that this is where you're at. That's your mohus. If it came out by mistake, then it means that's where you're noited, that's where you're tilting to. Maybe it's similar to the concept of a Freudian slip. If you say something which you shouldn't have said, b'mezid you intended, so it's wrong. If you shouldn't have said it, it's wrong. But the yetzer hara got the best of you. But if it comes out by itself, it means that's where you're at. So doing an aveira b'shegig has a certain aspect worse than b'mezid, meaning it shows your mahuz b'avos tohals, what you're holding at. If there's a sofik, whether you did an aveira b'shegig or not, so it's not really a sofik whether only in what you did. Did you do the aveira or not? It's a sofik where you're at. Since shegig means that shows that where you're at, where your enjoyment is, so it's a sofik where your pleasure is. Because an aveira b'shegig shows that that's where you're at, that's where your pleasure is, that's where you are. And if you have a sofik, a doubt whether you did the aveira b'shegig, so it's not a doubt whether you did the aveira, which is true, but besides that, it's also a doubt in where your mohus is, which in other words, where your pleasure is. And that's why the example is given when it comes to osham toli, when you did an aveira, b'sof, a doubt maybe you did it b'shegig, the example given is from fats. Fats we know represents pleasure. We have a raya from the Gemara, the story of Rabbi But we see there's a pasuk that says, Shmua teva tadash anotzem. When you hear good news and you feel good, you get pleasure, it makes your body grow. So it shows where you are. Anyway, the bottom line is that pleasure represents your mahus. And that's the reason why the Chazal gave the example that what kind of fats you ate, that you eat kosher fats and non-kosher fats, because if there's a suffix, whether you did a savera, b'shegig, the real suffix is whether you have pleasure in something wrong or not. And that's why the Chazal picked this example to explain what's behind a suffix and aveda b'shegig. What's behind is not really just a suffix, whether you did the aveda or you didn't do. The suffix is, Pavos halstu, what your pleasure is in. Is the pleasure in kosher stuff, in good things, or is chas v'sholom the pleasure in bad things? That's why we use the example. Maybe it's chaylev, which is bad fats, treifa fats, or maybe it's shumen, which is kosher fats.